All right, guys, welcome back. And we got it dried, and we're going to do the antique process. And this doesn't take very long either. It's more needs to dry. Drying takes longer than the actual process. But I use Phoebing's products, and it's Pro Resist, and I've got a sponge here. I've already wet it a little bit. It's just barely damp. I'm going to use this Resist, and what this does, just like in the last video where I wiped over this with the dye and it just dyed on the high spots, the Resist does the same thing, and it just goes to the high spots. And so I wipe it on there, and what this does is it kind of, not, it's almost like I would call it a mask, like painter's tape or something like that, to keep paint off of something you don't want it on. And what this Resist does, it keeps the antique from sticking to the high spots, and it lets it go down into the cracks and crevices. And so we got this pretty well taken care of. And you can see just kind of that the high spots are all wet, and it'll just take it a minute to dry, and that's what we're waiting on. Is just we'll let it dry here just for a minute, and that's all it takes. I mean, just a little bit of that Pro Resist, and but it's Phoebing's. I get all of my stuff through Weaver Leather Supply, and they some of this stuff, and I think this is one of them. Yeah, you have to. It's kind of kind of weather issues. You have to worry about freezing. So this stuff, it doesn't work after it gets frozen and it's thawed out. So it's rendered useless. That's what the bottle says. And so you kind of got to keep it, to where it's not going to get frozen. And I try to, if I order it, I don't order it like in the wintertime, shipping and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times you'll see some of the products like that, some of the leather finish products, that you got to pay attention to what the weather is and what time of year it is, and then when you order it, they'll put a little disclaimer on the website that that it may it's about freezing and that kind of thing. And so anyway, but that's good stuff. I really like it. It works out really well, and like I said before in the other video, I've had some other dark brown stuff that I've been doing the last little bit. It's already starting to dry. It's almost dry now. But I've had some other stuff that I've done, and so my stuff's all laying here. I already had stuff out, and I use these daubers, and I get them in packs. I've bought them from Weaver, and I go over here to Harbor Freight and get them there at Harbor Freight. But they're cheap. They don't cost hardly anything, and so I use them and then reuse them. And you can tell it's hard. I mean, that's hard, but I mean, I'm not going to be using it for nothing else. And so our antique, I use Phoebing's as well. It's a paste, and it's just a paste of an antique, and it's dark brown in color. It looks black, but it goes on and it dries dark brown, and it kind of has a I don't know if I'd call it a mahogany hue to it, but it blends with this dark brown, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a mahogany hue to it. And so I just put it on, and it goes on thick, and but that should be good enough. I mean, that'll be good for about the whole thing. I want to cover the whole piece, but it's about getting it down in that paste, getting it down into the cracks and crevices, and see, like right there on my logo at the bottom of the sling, get it right down into those letters on that logo, and get it right into these tool marks where I use the camouflage tool, and get it right down in there, and then get it right down in these letters. You remember how those letters, you see how they're kind of light colored where the dye didn't get down in there real good. Not a problem, no issues. Don't worry about that at all. Get around that turkey real good. Get in that, all that camouflage pattern there in that side that we worked on yesterday. Get it right down in that deer head. It's the low spots. I'm not so concerned about the high spots. I'm worried about the low spots. It's 100% about the low spots, because all this dark will go down into all of that, and it'll really, really bring out the highlights of the tool work. Make sure it gets down in all that basket weave and all that basket weave. And it still it changes the color a little bit, so I want to make sure I get it all the way up here on my strap that's going to fold over the sling swivel. Get way up here on top, and I mean, that all wipes off anyway, so now you can see why I wear gloves. This this brown paper. They when I order leather, anytime leather comes in here, it's already it's not just packaged in a cardboard box, but it's usually wrapped in a piece of this brown paper. And I save this stuff just for these kind of projects like this right here. I don't have to worry about going out and buying any kind of drop cloths or anything like that. I keep a bunch of this around and keep it down and keep the dye off. So Feedings, I've seen this stuff over, not antique. I've not seen antique, but I've seen it in, I've seen Feedings products at Tractor Supply, and I've seen it at different places. Used to be a shoe repair place in Prestonsburg, and I'd see it down there. I've seen leather dye. Actually bought leather dye from that fellow down there, and of course they're out of business now. But just kind of letting it set just for a minute, just so it kind of has a chance to stain that down in those places. Go ahead and wipe some of this off the top up here. I get these blue shop rags. I just pick these up at Walmart, and they're soft enough, and they do everything I need to do. There's been a lot of times I've done all my antiquing with these, but after using that jar of stuff for a while, it's getting to where I can't hardly get my hand down in there to get to the stuff and get to the paste, and so I started using those daubers. You see it starting to take shape, starting to come to life now. You see how that antique sits down in those low places. I mean, it just really brings out the art. All right. All right. I don't want to wipe too hard and pull it out of there and get, I don't want to get my rag down in any of those low places. I just want to let it just wipe across the top of it. Just be real gentle with it. And we can come back. We can come back later and buff it and really make it shine. It's got some, I'm getting my hands in it and putting it back on it. Just go around. One of the things I did between the videos is I went to turn it over on the back and run the leather dye down the back of it, so it kind of covered the back of it. There's going to be a piece goes over the back of it. Doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be real dark or thorough or anything like that. Just enough to color it. And I like to do that. So that's not the natural color of the leather on the back side. And we're not worried about getting antique on the back of it. We're not worried about leather dye on the back of it, because it's all going to get covered up. It's going to have a piece that goes over the back. But I want to make sure that this gets done first before we ever get to that point where we're starting to do something to the back of it. And now this will sit and dry. Yeah, that turned out really nice. So you can see how it just kind of gets right down in those letters. You see what I mean about it has almost like not really a mahogany hue to it, but it's just a little bit more. I don't know if it's more red or something that's in that brown, that dark brown. When that antique goes on, it just makes it like that. And buddy, I just really like that. That just really, really sets it off. It really makes it look good. And so any of those, if we had any issues with dye, any of the blotchiness that I was trying to avoid with water usually gets covered up with that antique. And so it usually doesn't have any problems with it. I'm not seeing any overly dark places that are different than any place else. Not yet, not right now. And I won't see them. I mean, it'll dry like this. It won't have that shine to it. We'll have to buff it to get it to shine. And but that's turned out really, really nice. And trying to get to where it's not going to glare on it. It's just still kind of wet. So, but yeah, that turned out really good. You can see how it just highlights that deer head, and then highlights that strut and turkey, and then gets right down in that basket weave. So I'm really happy with that. It turned out really nice. So instead of hanging this, I won't put it up there with the belts and stuff. So I'll let it dry on this. I'll move it off to another table, and so it'll lay around. It'll dry today, and so I won't be fooling with this anymore today. But I'll just let it dry and do its thing, and then we'll come back and put another coat of the Pro Resist on it. It seals it, and we can buff that a little bit, and it makes it shine. But it looks really nice. So, but y'all have a great day. Have a great Friday, and we'd love to see you at church. Got church Sunday, and so Sunday's coming. Victory Baptist up on the hill there behind Wendy's at Coal Run. Come out and see us. Y'all take care. God bless you.